Ham 2-0 defeat. It's the worst performance at St James's I think we've seen for a while, and we're going to go over it and what we think the reasons are for such a poor performance and result. But then we're going to look ahead to the Palace game and see if there's any sort of positives we can take from that game and look at how we might go away to Selhurst Park and pick up a victory. So let's dive straight into the West Ham game, Alex. You were there. So first of all, what was the feeling around the stadium when the team sheet got announced?
Well, we've been playing so well before the international break. I don't think there were many eyebrows raised. Like we had a very strong bench, probably the strongest this season. Like pretty much everyone seemed back apart from Botman and the Cells, who were just about getting there. But attacking options, like brilliant. Wilson back, Barnes, Murphy.
Were you surprised to see Wilson there?
I mean, yeah, because he's not been there all season, and you just never expect him to be back.
Yeah.
But it was a nice little surprise, and it just gives you another option, I guess. So it was good to see him back. It was seeing him and Trips back, obviously. And they're big players. Like, they both might be getting on a little bit in years, but they do add something when they come on the pitch. And I think they showed a little bit last night what they can do. But yeah, it was nice to see him back. And I think generally everyone that I spoke to at the match were pretty happy with the starting 11. Like, obviously, Dan Burn was the only one, I think, come out through injury since the last game. Out since fucking the yellow card ban, not injury. But
so he'll be available for the next one, right? So
yeah, just a one-game ban for the first 5.
I guess we'll start there with Lloyd Kelly, because when he had to come in, I was quite happy with it. I was like, all right, it's going to be good to see him at centre-half, left side of centre-half, where he actually wants to be playing. He's got more speed. We'll see what he's about there. When he's stepped into there, he's looked better than when he's been at left back. And I kind of thought West Ham would be a good game for him. But not that he was bad. He just had those mistakes that really cost us. So I think it's one of them where by Dan Burn not playing, it almost rises his stock. Because for me, Kelly's massively at fault for the first goal. And then his threat off corners. Not that Dan Burn really scores off corners, but he's more of a threat in the box. But yeah, let's talk about the first goal first. He just totally left his man, didn't he? Which is criminal for a centre-half.
Well, we'll obviously have quite a bit of the zonal defending, which I'm not going to lie, I'm not a big fan of. Like, you give the other players a chance to get a run-up. And when you got Tomas Soucek, who's 6'5" or something like that, like, he's a big guy. We're not the biggest team. Giving him a run-up. And not that you needed it, because Lloyd Kelly was so far off, he didn't even jump by the time the ball was in the back of the net. He was sort of like carrying underneath him. It was just, whether that's a thing from, I don't know if we've got a set piece coach, or whether that's Eddie's training or Tyndall or what, but it was just so poor. It was so fucking easy. And it was frustrating because we started like a fucking steam train before that as well. It's like the first time they got in we're half, and then the ball's in the back of the net and everything changes from then on. So it's just a frustrating one to concede, wasn't it?
Yeah, really. I wasn't too concerned at the time because it was such a bad mistake, and we'd have started so well. I was like, oh, that's all right. We'll just carry on as we were, and we're bound to get a couple of goals.
Yeah.
But it did just seem to totally deflate us, didn't it? And I don't know if it was that or West Ham getting the sort of like wind under their sails a bit, but it did seem to just totally change from there. And we definitely had our chances as well. And like you mentioned after you came out the ground that we missed some sitters. So was there any ones in particular you were thinking of when you said that?
Well, there's like 3 in particular. Well, 3 or maybe even 4. Obviously, before they scored, Isak, like, he's so quick, he's so sharp. He doesn't need to give himself an extra half a yard on any defender. Like, he could have dropped off a little bit. I know he's curved his run, and then obviously Hall's put it through when he's just sort of
great ball as well.
stepped it. It was brilliant. but when he collects the ball, the defender's like 2 or 3 yards behind him. So it just proves that he just doesn't need that extra little bit. Just watch you run, and it was a great little finish as well, just chipping it over Fabianski. And it was frustrating because it wasn't the first time we looked on getting in that first like 8 minutes or so. We're pressing them high, every single player, stopping them playing out from the back, and we're getting in behind them like what appeared to be very easily. And then obviously that was ruled out. They score, and then after that, even then we're still creating chances. The one that sticks in my mind was the Gordon one, where the ball sort of ricochets out to him when he's sort of probably 10 yards out. Like, you'd think, hit the target and you'll score. Hit it straight at Fabianski again. And then the other one which sticks to mind is he's like right at the end of that first half when Bruno puts that beautiful ball in. Once again, he's like stranded. There's no defender anywhere near him, and he misses the target. And you just think of players of their quality, both Gordon and Isa, when they're on form, you put your house on them to score them chances, and there's something a little bit off. Obviously, Isak went into the international break with a bit of like confidence. He scored again for Sweden, so you think he'd come back with a bit of like, as I was saying, like wind in the sails. He had the massive flags at both sides of the ground by war flags, which was phenomenal. So you think like, I don't know if the pressure got to him or if the pressure of, I don't know, Newcastle in general is getting to him. But the same with Gordon. Head down, missing chances, not clinical. And it's not like West Ham were like really, really good, dominant, any of that, like loads of chances.
No.
It's the fact, like, I think there's a big part of we just didn't take ours.
Yeah, there's definitely that, and it's been a problem for most of the season, hasn't it? Like, we seem to be getting over it, and then it's come straight back. But like you mentioned with Gordon, it did look like he got really frustrated by 30 minutes or so.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if it's partly getting moved left and right, or just because he wasn't having his best game, but he needs to kind of squash that and just keep his head up and stay positive, because you can tell the difference in his play when his head's gone down. And yeah, he missed chances, but if he keeps his head up, he's going to get another one, isn't he? So I found that a bit frustrating as well. It's more like when the attitude's not right. You can kind of forgive missing chances and stuff, but when your attitude's not right, it gets a bit annoying.
We've got a few players like that where you can see the head goes down. Like, whether it's like Joe Linton,
Shaw's
Bruno,
one
Gordon.
that annoys me as well.
Yeah, he loses his head. Like, the amount of stray balls he gives away when he's sort of like, we're losing and he's trying to force something. The amount of long balls he put straight on the defenders' heads. Like, fuck me, it was winding us up by the end, like.
Yeah, and then he'll always take his, 40-yard screamer attempts. He's just pissed off.
It wasn't that far over the bar, but it's a bit of, it's fucking hit and hope, like. It shouldn't have to
you
come
can't
to
really
that.
blame him when he scored them, but yeah. He seems to spit his dummy out for me, sure. So going back into the starting lineup and then looking at his performance, obviously Longstaff's won that. He's caused quite a bit of debate so far this season, and then he kind of seemed to get back in and win favour with the fans a bit, but obviously going off Pete in the group chat, he's lost that again with that performance. I don't think I saw anything really that was that bad, but I think what his point is that he kind of hides and goes missing in midfield. Or that's how it comes across anyway.
Passenger was the word he used, because I think it's easier to see in the ground because you can see the full pitch. You can see Longstaff when either Newcastle on the ball, or if say the defence or midfield, if they've got the ball and you see Longstaff and he hides behind players. He doesn't offer himself for players. You see when Tonali comes on, he's screaming for the ball. He's dropping, get the ball. He's always wanting to dictate play. Yes, Longstaff isn't a player who dictates play, but when you've got someone who he genuinely looks like at times he doesn't want to receive the ball. So when you're trying to go forward, it's like you've got a missing man. And then if you combine that with what happened in the first half, where Willock was pushing too far forward, like he was almost like alongside Gordon on the left at points. It was like they were making the same runs, they were in each other's pockets. It leaves Bruno in midfield, and then when we lose the ball, like we've got no one. Like, so it was just I feel like tactically, even though it has been working lately, that's the annoying thing. Is I think I can't remember if it was you or one of the other lads said that like sort of Willock's not working, or Joe Linton or White's not working, or I was started on the right last night.
Yeah.
But there's just like, it's almost like we're starting to play too many players out of positions, and we've been screaming out for this right winger for more than a year now, and we're trying to put all these players in, whether it's Joe Linton, whether it's Gordon out there, whether it's Barnes out there, and then Murphy comes on. So people are blaming Eddie for the lineup, and I understand why that is. It's just we're a bit all over the shop in general, especially yesterday.
Yeah,
and I feel like as the game went on, it didn't get any better. Got worse.
Yeah, it did get worse. He's made comment as well about the subs, but before that, like back to the starting lineup, it was really strange to see Joe Linton start on the right.
Mm-hmm.
And you've got to think that's because he scored from the right towards the end of the last game he was out there before the international break. But also it's trying to get Gordon back into his favoured position when really we know that Joe Linton and Willock on that left-hand side works, and they dovetail from each other so well. And as you say, like when Willock's over there with Gordon, they are trying to do the same runs, and they're getting in each other's way basically. So
but
it
also
seems like a really odd decision.
We were losing Joe Linton from midfield when he was out right as well, because he wasn't getting back in like Longstaff's position in the same way. So we're losing his physicality in the midfield on top of that.
Yeah, I think we definitely missed that as well. And I don't know if it's accurate now, but when I think about West Ham, I do think like we need a bit of physicality to win this game. But yeah, what you were saying about it got worse, not better. Eddie's interview after the game, he basically said that the subs didn't play well. So you've got Barnes, who'd been dubbed this like super sub so far, didn't really impact the game. I don't think he was too bad, but he just couldn't make an impact. But then Murphy, I think he was probably thinking about him a bit more. Tonali came on, Wilson came on, Trippier came on. And although like Trips and Tonali, I thought probably looked pretty good when they came on, the whole impact of all the subs just made it worse, if anything.
And once again, everyone was jumbling around positions. You had Lewis Hall playing centre mid at the end, Tino left back, Trippier getting a corner, putting out first man as usual. And it just felt a little bit like, let's hide the players on and see what we'll do. One thing about Tonali is that like I think he does need to start as the central midfielder, because he's so good on the ball, he's so good at getting back, and Bruno isn't quite. I don't want to say like up to his standard, but it just doesn't seem to work with having Bruno and Tonali in there, and Bruno was the deeper man. Like Tonali's almost like trying to get the ball off Bruno, which Bruno likes to dictate. So yeah, just obviously we're going to go on all day about sort of how bad sort of say Murphy was or whatever, or some of the other subs. Like, well, like as you're saying, like Barnes didn't really do much when he came on. Granted, by the time he came on, West Ham were sitting back and couldn't break them down. Basically, it was It was Murphy's
Yeah.
like just trying to fucking fling balls into the centre repeatedly. That was the tactic by the end, by the looks of it. But
I didn't when Murphy first came on. Well, it was Murphy and Wilson together, and then straight away he put in two decent balls, basically like towards Wilson, and one of them's for the pen shot in it.
Yep.
I think.
No,
So
that was
at first I was like, "Oh, this is decent," and they were actually like good balls. But then I don't know what happened. He just like he changed his boots or something. He just was scuffing everything, and then like passing it to their team, and I don't know. But yeah, the pen shout. You just watched it back before we came on here. So instant thoughts on that. Watching it back.
Well, when it happened, obviously there was a huge show from the Leeds end. And like I turned around to Pete and said, like, that's a big shout, you know. Like it's not just one of those where a player gets clipped, maybe it goes down and you're hopefully shouting to the ref to try and influence him. I was like, that's a big old fucking shout. Couldn't see from where we were seeing the two players go down. Could have been a collision, could have been anything. Watched it back just before. What is the defender doing? He's jumped on his back, he's not trying to get the ball.
Yeah.
I just don't understand how it's not even a tackle. He just jumps on his back. It's like a rugby tackle. I don't know how the referee hasn't even considered it. And you know what? I'd respect it if VAR said to the ref, right, you know what? Have a look at the screen. See what you think. See if you thought Wilson might have a chance of getting to it, or well, that's just a blatant foul. And if the referee turns on after that and says, you know what? I'll stick with what I said on field. I'd respect it so much more. But it looks fairly clear cut when you watch it back that Wilson just simply got took out. So it just didn't make a lot of sense.
The only thing is what you said there is like if the ref thinks he wasn't going to get to it.
But sometimes that doesn't matter. If someone gets cleaned out.
Yeah. No, but like you say, like if he checked it and then that was his reasoning, you'd be a bit more like, well, you'd probably still be pissed off, to be honest. But there's one of the angles. I think it's the angle from the right. It looks dreadful. Like it looks like he's definitely going to get to the ball. And then obviously when you look at it from the other side, you see the arm round him, and like there's no attempt to really play the ball. He just, like you say, jumps on his back. But yeah, as much as that was, it did like really piss me off. I still don't think we would have got back into the game even if we'd scored a penalty. I think
it's one of those things
we were
you
that
never know.
flat.
Yeah. But
well,
like
the performance-wise was pretty poor.
By that point, the crowd was fucking flat. Like as the second half went on, subs were coming on, not improving anything. We weren't creating a lot of chances. The atmosphere was flat. Like so that could have picked everyone up. Like you seen last season, I know it's a completely different game because we were playing a lot better. Like the 3-1, when we were 3-1 down against West Ham last season at home, came back 1-4-3. That had a feeling of it like we're fucking battering these, like a goal is coming. This did not have that same feeling. However, you never know if we get that goal. And it was over 10 minutes to go by that point, wasn't it? So would have had a chance. But at the end of the day, I don't think we're gonna have any complaints. Like the best team won, and despite them looking, they looked poor for a lot of that game.
Yeah, but I was surprised afterwards. I mean, it was Michael Owen in the studio, but they were saying like, "Oh yeah," I think one of his quotes was, "Yeah, West Ham have got it all."
No, what the fuck?
But yeah, they look.
What
pretty
was he alluding to? Like saying they've got it all, like. The looks.
Like I say, I turned it off, but yeah, I think because they brought a lot of players in, didn't they? In the summer.
Oh, they spent like 160 million or something, I'm sure. Yeah.
On paper, you'd think a good side. They've got some strength. They've got some good counter attacking. On the day, like Bowen and Antonio countering defensively.
Antonio was not doing any countering. He was fucking pony. He just wanted to fight Lloyd Kelly all game. Did you see him just keep hoying him like a goal kicks? I'm not sure how much you've seen.
Yeah.
There was a battling for like all the first half. Like it was a good battle. Like every goal kick, it was going up to Antonio, and Lloyd Kelly had probably the best of it. And then second half, Antonio was clearly pissed off. Just literally 2-hand shove. Referee just didn't call it. And then literally about 5 minutes later, exactly the same happened again. 2-handed shove. Like when the ball's in the air from the goal kick, instead of like tussling,
Really?
he literally just like he knew he was like losing the battle. Ref finally gave it, but I thought Antonio was
Yeah, he got
fucking
his
pouring
shit
it, to be
ripped
honest.
off him in the first half, like, so he's probably pretty pissed off. There was
But,
that
I
where
thought,
he like broke away from Longstaff.
oh mate,
To be fair, on the
Longstaff had a few yards on him there, and he somehow caught him, and he's not the quickest player. Like that was poor from Longstaff.
he looked like he had a decent game, Antonio, on TV. But anyway, I'm not going to analyse Michael Owen's comments too much. So based on that performance, what's your feeling around going into the next game? Do you think that was just the players didn't perform, they weren't up for it? Do you think it was something Eddie done wrong, so we can correct that quite easily? Or do you feel like we might have corrected ourselves in that sort of form before the international break was actually a bit over where we are at the minute?
I don't think so. I don't think saying that those performances, say, against Chelsea and Arsenal were sort of anomalies, because we've seen us play that well before. But I think playing that kind of team suits us a bit more than playing a team who are going to sit back and counter against us. And
Yeah,
I think the blame yesterday can be probably equally split on the players and on Eddie, because there was a lot went wrong on the sort of the tactical setup, the subs, just playing players out of their usual positions, like, and just too many of them, I think. However, the players really need to like take a look at themselves, because there was a lot of poor performances in that game, and not from just like Lloyd Kelly, who basically is probably fifth or sixth choice centre back for her. Like, I don't think Bruno had a brilliant game. Gordon was poor. Isak was poor. Joe Linton didn't affect the game like he can do, and Longstaff, as we've said, didn't do a lot wrong, but was pretty anonymous. I thought in general Lewis Hall was probably our best player, to be honest. He was obviously battling with Bowen all game, and it came from that side for their second goal, but it's not like Bowen got past him. It was the ball got passed through, and Wan-Bissaka never got picked up. I thought the one-on-one battles, I think Hall done very well. There was one where I thought Bowen had got past him. I think it was in the second half. Like, Bowen looked like he'd got 1 or 2 yards clear. Hall gets back, concedes a corner to something which looked pretty dangerous. I think he's grown into a much better defender. But
yeah, defensively he's looking way better.
But yeah, generally too many poor performances. And
do you think there's an attitude problem in there as well? Because, like we're seeing with a few of them letting their heads drop, but in general, like, we were battering them, and then we conceded, and it just totally changed.
I think that you've got to say yes, because the setup. If you asked us after 10 minutes, is the formation, the setup working? I would say too right. We're absolutely battering them. Like, we're pressing them very well. We weren't giving them a minute on the ball. We're creating big chances. We're getting the ball in behind so easily. So whether they made a change to, well, naturally when they go 1-0 up away from home at St James's Park, they're going to drop deep to win the score. So it might have just been sort of a natural thing, not just a sort of a tactical change that they had. But I'm not going into this Palace game with like a lot of negativity, like, we're fucking shit now because we've had one very poor game. Like, I still think Eddie can not even turn it around, because it's not like we're in a proper slump. It's one game off the back of quite a few good performances. So I don't know about you, but I feel not that dejected about going away to a 19th place team who aren't playing well. And I know we've literally just played a team who were in a fucking poor vein of form. But I wouldn't say the same about Sunday.
I think Palace, obviously they're down there, 19th, like you say, but I was looking through the results before, and they've got some, like, obviously they drew with Villa away at the weekend, and then they have had some results throughout the season. Like, I think they beat Spurs at some point.
Yes, sort of Ipswich though, to be fair. Spurs are proper up and down.
Yeah, I guess it depends which Spurs team turned up, doesn't it? And they beat Villa in the Carabao. But yeah, I mean, I'm not massively worried about anything. But the only thing that's starting to worry me is the way we really struggle against the low block. And like you say, I think that became even like more as soon as they scored, because then they're protecting the lead. So what do we do about this? Because when you're saying like we normally perform better against teams like Arsenal and Chelsea because they're coming forward and actually trying to like win the game, like by attacking. What do we do about this? Because we don't seem to be solving the issue. I mean, it's normal for teams to come to St James's and do that, and we have been getting results. So maybe it's too harsh to say like we struggle against it, but we just if we're not clinical with our finishing, which obviously we weren't against West Ham, it does seem to come back and bite us on the arse because we struggle to make too many chances. I'm sure I've seen a stat with the chances being like way down this season, in terms of like shots on goal. So if we're going away to Palace, and like away form's generally pretty poor since Eddie's come in. Well, since before Eddie came in as well. But do you think somebody like Palace, when they're at home, they're going to sit behind the ball? Or do you think because they're at home, they'll probably go for a bit more, so we might be able to get in behind a bit easier?
Well, you'd hope so, wouldn't you? Like, obviously the Forest game suited us because they have been playing very well this season, and they aren't going to start a game against Newcastle at home sitting back. I don't think it's their style. I don't particularly think it's Palace's style as well. I think the fans are sort of quite a bit on Glasner's back, to be honest, after turning down 100 million from buying for him. So no, that didn't actually happen. But there was rumours. I'm sure that Steve Parish turned around and said that it would cost buying 100 million if they wanted to get him at the back in the last season, which is a bit ironic now they're in the relegation spots. But no, I think they'll come out. They've still got a very good side, even after losing Elise. Like, they've got Eze, they've got Mateta, they've got Nketiah. So you think this should be a better game for us in terms of how another team sets up? And well, I don't want to say it, but our target Marc Guehi hasn't had the best of starts either. So hopefully we can get in his fucking head and get in behind him and rattle him, and come out with a victory, because I do think it will suit her. And I could fancy with a bounce back, I reckon, because there's so many players need to step up, whether it's like Gordon, Bruno, like even the defence. Like, Shaw's been on and off a little bit. Byrne should come back in, and he will want to keep the spot. He's fighting for his life for his spot, and he has been pretty reliable. So it's just the problem in midfield. What do you think we need to do there? Like, keep Longstaff in, bring Tonali in, drop Bruno? Like, where do we need to go?
I think we need to start Tonali, even if I don't know if Eddie thinks he's not like ready to be starting or what. Like, I don't know what the reasoning is. I know Eddie likes to take time to bed players in and stuff, and even though he's been with us for a while because of the ban, he's not been in the Premier League that long. But I think we need to start him and just keep playing him, because the more he plays and gets used to it, and the faster he does, the better it's going to be for us. But I do agree that we should probably allow or like tell Bruno to go higher up and let Tonali be the one that dictates play a bit more and the cover for the defence as well, because he's faster and he's more aggressive in the tackle as well. And we seen when Bruno first came in, when he's further up the pitch, he's awesome. Like, he really affects the game and he was scoring goals. It's just, I guess, the balance with Joe Linton as well, if you're putting him in there. Because I can't imagine Willock will start. Then we do need to find that balance, but I'd prefer to do it away from home at Palace and try something like that, rather than when we've got games where they're going to be doing the low block and the crowd at home could be getting on the back and stuff. So I think it's a great opportunity to try that and really let Tonali play the way that he was playing for AC. He's got cracking boots as well, Tonali. I love seeing him come on in them
good,
blue boots. But what you were saying about Burn there, we were obviously having this chat as well. Like, another thing against West Ham was we didn't seem to have a captain's voice on the pitch, which comes back to the discussion around Bruno being the captain. But I don't think it matters too much who's got the armband on. It's more the voices on the pitch. So do you think, well, obviously you're saying Burn's going to come back in? You'd imagine so, because Kelly didn't have the best game. Do you think there's any chance we see Trips come in as well for that leadership? Because he did look like he transformed the sort of leadership on the pitch once he came on.
Yeah, not only that, but when he was playing earlier in the season, I think he took Tino's spot. Well, took his own spot back even, because he was playing well. And it is not, you're right, it's not just the voice on the pitch. Like, he sort of brings the whole team together when he's playing. And despite him not wearing the armband, he would still be probably our biggest leader on the pitch if he was playing.
Yeah.
However, Tino hasn't done anything wrong to get dropped. I think he's playing quite solid. I think Somerville could have been a very tricky opponent last night. He was fucking rapid. Genuinely, like, faster than Gordon. His acceleration looked silly last night. He just didn't have... So yeah, like I've said that he didn't have a lot of final product, but that could be the fact that Tino wrapped him up so well. He didn't really give him much.
I thought Tino played well. Like.
So I think, yeah, you're right. So I think dropping him would be a bit unfair, but with that leadership side of things, I would understand. And I don't think you could argue too much with Eddie if he did do that. Although Tino would be very hard done by to get dropped after how he's been playing all season, to be fair. I think he's been solid.
Yeah. I think things we've talked about tonight, though, is like the heads drop and the attitude, the way it changed after going 1-0 down. I do think if Trippier's on the pitch, not that doesn't happen, does he? But I don't think it happens as bad.
Mm-hmm.
No. So yeah, I mean, like you say, it'll be harsh on Tino, but I'd actually quite like to see Trips back in the team. I know his corners as well, like you're saying, hit the first man again. But one thing I found interesting is when he came on, he was like, he won a corner and then he was like looking around at everyone and then like pointing. He kind of seemed surprised when he was to take the corner.
Mm-hmm.
So it's almost like in training and stuff, they have had obviously other people taking corners because he's not been playing, so someone should have been training the corners. But it's almost like he's not the first choice corner taker anymore. So it'd be interesting to see when he is starting, if he does carry on taking corners or not.
Well, I know Hall's now on every single corner from like one side now. Like they like to have them all in swinging, obviously. So I thought obviously Hall started taking a few, but now he's taking every single one from the opposite side. So yeah, I'd be curious to see, because obviously Gordon's took them, and although his deliveries and set pieces in general were really good last season, especially when Trippier was out, he hasn't been as good, I believe, this season with it. Obviously, he had that fucking ridiculous cross from Isak, but that's from open play. But his corners haven't really produced anything. And Tonali's not been
Yeah.
given any set piece duties since coming in, which I think's been a bit of a shock considering he took them from Milan. So I think if Trippier comes in, I think he would take all those corners from that left side.
We need to do something about it though, don't we? Like,
It's
our
shocking.
stats off corners is dreadful. It's to the point where it's like I don't even like accelerate when we get a corner or like get excited when we get a corner.
No.
But there was a decent little short corner, wasn't there? I think Lewis Hall got a chance of a short corner, but that didn't look like it was a pre-planned set piece.
Don't think it was, no.
So we'll see if we can do anything on set pieces again. But what do you think the main threat is from Palace then? Do you think it's the speed in behind, counter-attacking?
Well, it's not just the speed. Like, Mateta's just a fucking tank, isn't he? Like, Eze is the big threat.
True.
Like, he's a fantastic player. And so I think generally through the middle, to be honest, like, obviously we conceded from a corner and conceded from our left side, but I don't think that was indicative of, like that was a weakness of ours, or obviously, Bowen is West Ham's strength specifically. But yeah, Eze, Mateta, that sort of core. I know Mateta's been playing sort of like in a deeper role. Nketiah as the number 9, and then Eze a bit further out a little bit this season. But they're all like quality players, so I think there's quite a few of them you can watch, to be honest. So despite them being poor in a lot of games this season, as you say, away to Villa, winning the cup and stuff like that, like they clearly still have got danger players. So there's no game in the Prem that's a walk in the park. But
yeah,
we just need to step up.
Seems to be
basically.
Consistency that is their issue, because they've definitely got the players to hurt us and to hurt any team really in the league. So yeah, I mean, I feel confident because I think we'll get a reaction. I think Eddie will really put a rocket in their asses this week, and he stays cool and calm in interviews and stuff. But I reckon he'll have absolutely gone off on the players after that game. Probably let Mad Dog off his leash throughout this week as well. And we've got a full week, well, pretty much a full week of training with them. Obviously, some of the lads were away on international duty and stuff like that. I don't know if that affects us. We seem to talk about that quite a bit when we come back off international duty. But yeah, hopefully we've prepped a lot better for this next game. Do you think Wilson will get any sort of shot at starting the game, just to give Isak a bit of a kick up the arse? Or do you think it's probably still far too soon?
Can't say it. I can't see him being able to play 90 minutes. Never mind, like if he deserved to. And I don't think they would do it where he'd start the game and come off after 45 or 60 or whatever. I think they're more likely to just try and build his minutes, give him like half an hour at the end of a game, if needed, and build his minutes that way, as opposed to like playing him because we need to play him. So
yeah,
he's obviously quite quiet, and Isak
was in great form before. So
and it's not like he wasn't getting chances. He got chances in the game against West Ham. He just didn't finish them.
Yeah, it's weird as well, because obviously that one in the first few minutes where he was offside was a great finish.
Yeah.
But he didn't time his run, so...
But
where do you think...
like
sorry, I was just saying, where do you think this leaves Osula now? Because now that Wilson's kind of back, and he'll be the one to come on later in the game, especially while he's building his fitness up.
I think he's very much a third choice. I think that's what he's going to be. I think that's what he'll continue to be while Wilson is fit. I can't see him. Like he's not scored yet. He's not influenced the game a lot when he's came on. You can tell like he's working hard. He's trying his best. He's getting the odd shot off. But if I was talking about sort of 2-1 down against Palace, and we need someone to come on to try and influence a game, obviously it would be Wilson over him by a long shot, I think. So he's young. He's got a lot of time to develop. You've mentioned before about Eddie taking time to trust players. You'll still be working with him in training like every day. So I don't think he's a striker for today. Maybe at the end of the season, when maybe if Wilson goes, I know there's been rumblings of extending his contract another year, which I think would be a fucking madness. But yeah, I can't see him being anything other than like a sort of last resort for a while.
Eddie seems to still have a lot of patience with Wilson. I know I was thinking though, when that first ball came in from Murphy towards Wilson, it gives us obviously a total different dynamic. But also, if he'd have come on and scored, I reckon, especially if we ended up getting a result from the game or like a point from the game, I reckon the fans would change the tune on him quite quickly. Like,
of course, it would.
It's literally just as it's just his fitness in it. Like, and I think this time it's been really frustrating. I don't know if it's fully his fault or not. I think it's like the way the kind of updates have been given to the fans makes it more frustrating as well, because it seemed like he's been over his injury for a while. He's just not been playing. The way like Eddie said things in press conferences and stuff.
But Eddie talks shit in press conferences.
Could be true, but I know that's what I mean. Is like, I don't think he's helped Wilson with the fans there, because it almost, I think people were starting to think, is he just trying to wait out till January to get away without being injured?
Mm-hmm.
But obviously came on last game, so that's not true either. So prediction for Palace then.
I fancy getting results like.
Well,
I'll go first. Right, I reckon we'll get a 2-1 win. We'll bounce back. But I don't think I don't know. We're just not really keeping clean sheets. So I fancy, them bagging, but us sneaking it. He's coming back, getting a brace. Happy days. West Ham's forgotten about. And then it'll be one of those where we've jumped up the table. We're in the top like 5 or 6 or whatever, and then we're losing against the shy team at home after getting like. Wait, it seems to be how the story of the season's gone so far, where we're getting results against the bigger teams, but then falling down when there's been poorer teams, or even the Brighton at home game where they're not a poor team by any stretch, but we're absolute shite. So hopefully it's one of those.
We could jump up to 6th, I think. But that would mean everyone else losing. But yeah, like I think that was the frustrating thing about the West Ham loss as well, is because we were at home, it seemed like a really good opportunity to get us into that. Well, we would be sat 6th now.
Yeah.
And the way that the defeat as well makes it worse. But I'll be positive going into Palace as well. I'm trying to think if I think we can keep a clean sheet or not. No, I don't. I'm gonna go 3-1 to us. Yeah, I think Eddie will put a rocket under them, and going forward will be a lot better. And like we've talked about, them hopefully not sitting behind the ball because they're at home, and the type of players they've got as well. I think they'll leave gaps in behind. I think we'll break them down, and if we can get it early as well, then I think we can get a few goals. Well, and I could see someone like Wilson coming on and scoring.
Yeah, I think they play a 5 at the back in general. So if like their fullbacks are pushed high, and they're left like 3-on-3 with Isak, Gordon, and one other. Like, we should be able to get at them. Like, and to be fair, like we mentioned about Bruno not having the best of games against West Ham, he did look like the player who's going to unlock anything if it was going to happen. He was trying his best. He was like, he made some like good crossfield balls and stuff like that. He'd well unlock their defence.
Well, one thing we kind of haven't mentioned is he came off and Willock came off. To me, it looked more like Bruno's was more of like a muscular injury that might have been precautionary.
Mm-hmm.
Got a bit of pain, and I think it was his glute, I think, got reported. So hopefully he's back. But Willock was like an impact injury on it. I think he clashed with Longstaff, so he could be out.
Mm-hmm.
But he's one of the players that on transitions, you'd like to think if Willock's in the team, we can really hurt Palace on transition. But if not, we've still got Gordon. Joe Linton can do that on the right-hand side. Do you think Gordon will start on the right this time? Because the experiment didn't really work, and we'll have, if Willock is fit, Willock and Joe Linton back on the left.
I think if Willock's fit and starts, then yeah, we'll be back to the normal Joe Linton Willock on the left-hand side. But if Willock's out, I think Joe Linton will drop back into midfield. I think we could see Barnes start and Gordon push back right again, maybe. Unless we see Murphy start, which is always a chance. And keep him going on the left. I wouldn't rule it out.
If anything, I think from the last game, the winger who looked the best to come in is probably Miggy, just because he didn't feature.
I knew you were going to say that.
But Murphy looked absolutely awful.
Yeah.
After
so
his
did
first
Willock.
cross or two. Yeah, Willock had a bargain.
Mm-hmm.
But Barnes didn't do anything either, so it's not like you'd be like, oh yeah, get Barnes in from the start. I mean, if it was me, I'd probably, if Willock is unfit, I'd probably start Barnes on the left and Gordon on the right. But if Eddie's trying to like send a message and say when you get the opportunity, you got to take it. Don't know. Do you reckon he gives Miggy a chance, or do you think the fact he didn't even bring him on shows that he's not even in his mind for stuff at the minute?
Yeah, sounds like Miggy's lower than Murphy in the pecking order, so I can't imagine he'd choose to bring Murphy on as an impact sub against West Ham and then flip his thinking midweek, preferring Miggy over Murphy. So I would be shocked if I seen Miggy start. I wouldn't be as surprised if I seen Murphy on the team sheet. However, I don't think I'll see either. I think it's more likely that we'll either have Gordon there or Barnes or Joe Linton or something like that.
Yeah, and even with Willock not having the best of games, I would still prefer him to start if he's fit. So, yeah, I think that Joe Linton, if we can get them back on the left, I still don't know why start Joe Linton on the right, but if we can get them back on the left, I think we're really dangerous down that side, and Gordon, unfortunately, might have to just be a little bit unhappy and start on the right.
I think that's possible.
So, we're both predicting a win.
We are.
Which, on the back of that last performance, might shock a few people. There'll probably be a few watching or listening to this that are in the other camp and think we're on a downward turn, potentially even looking at Eddie again. Because it seems like any time we do have a defeat or a bad performance, suddenly his name is being questioned again. But I think here we think that's ridiculous. So
positivity.
We'll look ahead to the next game, and
happy clappers, as some people
I
call
think Eddie will sort it out. So happy clappers, happy clapper pod. We need to get Pete on for a bit of alternative.
He wasn't
especially straight after the game where he's raw.
Oh, he was fucking straight after the game. He was on the bus by the time full time whistle came. He was fucking off. He was not happy.
But we might have.
It's Panto season, so he's busy at the Theatre Royal at the moment. Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs have won.
It's a good place to leave it. See if anyone listens to the end of the pod, if that gets brought up. Join us for the next one. Hopefully 3 points away to Palace. That's what we're predicting. Let us know what you're predicting. You can do so via social media at stjames'pod everywhere. You can leave a comment on YouTube or Spotify. You can also leave us a review and a rating. If you could leave us a 5-star rating on Spotify or Apple, that would be great. It really helps us out. And we'll be back for the next one. So see you then.